You may have noticed, but people love falling in love, right? I would even say some people are addicted to that new love phase of relationship, right? Where the novelty of it, the discovery of it, it's so exciting. You're learning about somebody else and asking them questions and getting to know them. And there's probably no better feeling than when somebody else genuinely is interested in getting to know you, asking you questions. They like what they're learning about you. That can be intoxicating. But does it last? Should it last? And why do people fall in love and then fall out of love? So I want to attempt to answer the question, can staying in love last, by looking at the 3 phases of love. That's today on Relationships. Hey, welcome to Relationships. My name's Eric Wooten. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome to the place to get practical relationship advice that actually works in your relationship. If you have not already done so, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any upcoming videos. If you want a free guide to intimacy, you'll see a link in the description area below. If we can help you in any area of your relationship, whether it's a class, whether it's a course, whether it's counseling, whether it's being a part of our membership community for married couples, we'd love to walk with you in your journey. So check out all of those resources in the description area below as well. So let's talk about love. Is it possible to fall in love and stay in love for a lifetime? And you've probably heard stories of people who've been married 50 years and say they're still just as in love or more in love than they were the day they met. But then you also see people around you all the time that seem to have fallen in love, gotten out of love, and divorced. And so it can kind of make you wonder, is it possible to stay in love, or is this feeling of being in love just something that comes and it passes, and that's not real mature relationship anyway? So I'm going to answer that question by looking at the 3 phases of love that we go through in a relationship. Phase 1 is falling in love. Some would call it limerence. Now, this is actually not a necessary phase, but because of the culture we live in today, where we choose our partner based on how we feel, it is more common than not, like it may have been in arranged marriages, although research does show that even most arranged marriages at some point end up in this phase of limerence. And in this phase, it's really highly selective. So things like, man, do they look right? Do they smell right? Do they feel right to me in my arms? Do we just have chemistry or the connection? This is where you say, man, they just get me, or God told me, or they're the one. And so while most people think that this phase, again, only lasts maybe 18 to 24 months, research actually shows that it can last a lifetime if the other 2 phases we're going to talk about are also working in unison together. So in this phase, it's really about, do they feel right? Does this feel good? Am I, quote, in love, or did I fall in love with them? And then people begin to settle into the next phase, and this is where we start getting a little bit of buyer's remorse, where you're kind of like, is this all it is? So you're telling me I'm going to be having sex for the next 50 years with just that one same person? And so they move into phase 2, which phase 2 is all about trust. Are you there for me is the question we're asking. And what research has found is that the first couple years of marriage are where most of the fighting occurs, because we're fighting to build trust. So when you look at most of the arguments in the early years of marriage, these are mostly about problems of trust. We're asking questions like, will you be there for me? Will I be more important than your mother or your friends? When I'm sad, can I count on you? When I need support and encouragement, will you provide that for me? Can I trust you? Will you be faithful to me? If I'm grumpy, will you still love me? If I get sick, will you take care of me? This is why research on cohabitors continues to show that they are the least stable couples, because what they're saying is, I'm here, but if a better option comes along, I'm not. I'm with you, but if you get sick, you may be on your own. If you struggle financially, that might be on you. That I'm with you, I live with you, I'm having sex with you, but I'm not fully committed to you. And so they have a real hard time when cohabiting to build this second phase, which is all about trust. Can I count on you? Do I know that you will be there for me? That's key. The second phase is trust, because most of the time we have miscommunication in relationships because it's very rare. The probability that both spouses would be emotionally available at the exact same time is very rare, which is why miscommunication happens, which is why repairing after miscommunication is so important. So trust is built when there's miscommunication, and we figure out how to repair and rebuild trust after the miscommunication. That's when trust is really built up over time. And then we move into phase 3, which is commitment. We're talking about loyalty versus betrayal. And we're asking questions like, are you committed to me? Am I able to be myself and not worry about your commitment? Am I able to fall short or struggle and not worry about your faithfulness? Can you see the worst of me and still maintain your commitment? Is your commitment tied to my performance, or is your commitment based on your integrity, regardless of how I'm performing? So research on infidelity has shown that one of the keys to infidelity is negative comparison. When you compare your spouse in a negative light to another option in a more positive light, we tend to have a harder time staying faithful in relationships, which is why gratefulness and appreciation, cherishing your spouse, is so important for the relationship. Negative comparison will lead to resentment, but gratitude and cherishing will lead to intentionality, investment, and greater commitment in the relationship. So in this phase 3, we're asking the question, are you committed to me? Can I have my worst moments and still not question whether or not you are fully committed to me in this relationship? So when phase 1, falling in love, moves into phase 2 and we're able to build trust, those first few years of arguing, really our arguments and all those things are really around, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Can I trust you? And then when we can move into phase 3, which is all about commitment, that I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm not performing to keep you here, that you are here because of your integrity and your character, not because I get everything right every time. When couples can move through those 3 phases with success, research shows that you actually can stay in love for a lifetime. So the answer to the question, can you stay in love, is yes, if you correctly navigate through the 3 phases of love. You can have a love that lasts a lifetime. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you notice the phases that you've gone through in your relationship, if you've been a while, or maybe you're in the midst of one of these phases right now, and this now sheds some light on why you're dealing with what you're dealing with, or you're struggling because you're trying to make a commitment, but there's been no trust built in phase 2. We just had falling in love, went straight to commitment, which is what a lot of couples do that cohabitate, and they never get to the trust building, and that's why the relationship is unstable. But drop a comment, let me know what you think of these 3 phases, what phase you might be in, and if we can help you in any area of your relationship, check out the resource links below. I'll see you next time right back here on Relationshots.